Public Affairs Analyst Adeniyi Kunnu joins me now to look at the challenges and prospect of Nigeria at 57. Many thanks for joining us, Adeniyi. Where do we take it from? From the president's speech, right? I think that's really apt now. The president said today is a day to celebrate in spite of the trials and challenges of the country. Do you agree?
Well, I agree with him in principle because some months ago, some northern youths gave an ultimatum that would have disrupted the peace of this country and said that by today they do not want any Igbo people in the north and that those within the southern area should as well return to the north. I'm very happy that decisive steps got taken, although not as fast as we would have expected to call that. And today is October 1. We don't have bloodshed. We don't have skirmishes. So I think that is one big positive among many others that we've found to have experienced even today as I speak with you here. All right. What about your take on the president's take on the issue of agitation? Well, I think the president didn't sound very right. I have to admit that. Because over 2 weeks ago, it was at the United Nations 72nd Assembly, and he spoke about the troubled regions of the world and the interventions he expected. But if you look at it, the areas he picked are very strategic. We're talking about Myanmar, former Burma. He spoke about North Korea, and of course, one other part of the world. But it's something for me, or the thing there for me particularly, is that as much as the approach to the secessionist groups and the rest of it all is not the best, of course, if you're asking that people should, do the right thing if they want something, I also want us to state here categorically, you cannot expect them to use the measure that is in vacuum. If I look at the composition of the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, you're talking about a Kano, for instance, that has 44 local governments, a Lagos that has 20, a Bayelsa that has 8. You're talking about many South. As a matter of fact, the Southeast region happens to have the lowest number of registered voters in this country. So by virtue of calculation, that region is completely disadvantaged. That is not to say, please, Bukola, that I'm supporting the approach taken by IPOB. It's completely wrong of them, what they did. But we can continue to engage and dialogue at the highest of levels so that we can feel wanted in a country that is peaceful and united. All right. Talk about some milestones and some achievements, and I think that the president is really proud of is the issue of insurgency, fighting the insurgency, and he did mention that there is an establishment now of a mobile strike team in the northeast to give a final push, that was the word he used, final push to eradicating Boko Haram. And that brought me back to what we used to have with former President Goodluck Jonathan and his deadline. And now the president is giving us, so to say, a deadline of a final push. Well, I think that any attempt at peace the world over is always continuous, especially when you're against a group that are guerrilla fighters. They don't do conventional battle with you. We've heard several timelines this year. As a matter of fact, Sheka would have been dead. According to them, they said he was dead until we saw that this guy keeps coming up. So that tells you that that's not definite. We know that at times, it's an approach to ensure that people feel secure, but we are convenient without being given deadlines. Let those who are saddled with the responsibility of securing our external sovereignty do the best they could to protect the country. If you look at the aspect of security, which is one of the tripod that this administration came to the saddle with, I think to a great extent I can give them an applause because virtually the greater part of the Northeast was taken over by Boko Haram until this administration came to the saddle. With that, it's a thumb up. But that is a far cry from many other things that would indeed prevent the agitation. The northern region happens to be the least educated in this country. And I say here that I stand not to be corrected. As we speak, about 11 million children are out of schools in the north. I have been privileged to live in the north, to work in the north, to mingle. Some of my very fantastic friends are also from the north. But we are essentially Nigerians. That is the first banner we carry anywhere we find ourselves. So it means that you have to ensure that the people are nurtured to be civil, to appreciate human life, to appreciate knowledge. Because the university education that some of us have, we didn't get it because we want to make money. We get it because we want to understand the dynamics of the world.
In other words, you're not giving a thumbs up to this administration or Nigeria in terms of educational sector.
No. The point is, you cannot. Let me say here, the speech of the president this morning didn't have two critical areas. Nothing was said about the health sector. Nothing was said about education. Come on, that's a far cry from what I expect. I have to say that from all the president said in his speech, I will not annul any, because to a great extent I follow the figures and they quoted the figures rightly. But you cannot give a blind eye to the areas that are in need of intervention. You can't continue to fight recalcitrant people because they don't see the value of human life. One of the things that education will do in the life of anybody is it enables you to appreciate the life of the next man. Right. It deploys value into you so that you are able to appreciate the next man and not kill unnecessarily. Okay.
Let's move on now and look at the caliber of leaders we have in Nigeria today. I remember the speech I read of the independent speech by Tafawa Balewa, and there was a quote there that says that he's committing himself to the service of the country. Can you say that of the caliber of leaders we have today?
The point is, to a great extent, that's one of the most intelligent persons to have emanated from the north. And I laugh at people when at times they tell us that, you know, he's not educated. I tell them, you don't have your facts, go sit down somewhere. If you've heard him address, you know, organized forum, you'd find out that this is a very brilliant mind. But that particular selflessness you just talked about didn't see the light of the day because he was killed. And that happens to be the history of this country, particularly during the troubled junctures of the military. It is therefore important to understand that many who are there now came there either as former military leaders. I have to say here for the records, Obasanjo was there as a military ruler. He came there and exhibited qualities of a military ruler because he flouted the Supreme Court's directive on several occasions. Everybody should be subject to the law. That's a mold. For about 29 years, we had incursions with the military. But let's leave it out. 1999 to this point, we've had about 18 years of democracy. If we compared the major projects embarked upon during the military, I'd have to say that the military seems to have a little bit of discipline, even if they stole, because of course they did steal. The records are there. I owe on this platform, the world, one responsibility, and that is the truth. Because when I get out here, I don't have anything else to say other than being free, having said the truth. Now let's look at the monies that have been stolen under the civilian administration. It is terrible. You're found in a place for the $3 million. In people's accounts, trillions of dollars. You begin to ask yourself, is it about the indiscipline that doesn't come with certain people, or the fact that it is a genomic problem? I really can't tell. So over the years, we could say that in certain respects, we have made outstanding mark. But the point remains that government essentially is a failure when the lives of the people doesn't seem to be premium. And that is where this administration, having spent about 28 months or thereabout, should think about the remainder of the months and wake up from its slumber to work. Because if you look at it, within the shortest possible time, this administration has had more strike actions than many others. Virtually all the major...
Well, they will tell you that most of those actions are carryover decisions coming from the...
Excuse me, please. That would not be the right statement to make. It is expected that if I am vying for an office, for instance, I served as an undergraduate in my capacity as, you know, the vice president of the National Association of, you know, Students of English and Literature in Nigeria. Before I came on board, I and my president had an understanding from the handover notes of the problems the particular body we are taking to the next level had. So it's expected that while you are vying for a position, the handover note should give you a clear direction of what to face. So please, government is it's the government of Nigeria.
So you inherit the credits and liabilities or whatever the decisions
for instance, the gains that are
made. We have to leave it there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Many thanks for your time.
Thank you for the time.
And your thoughts on TVC News. We have more news about Nigeria's independence right after this break, so stay with us, please.